Broadcasting live from the Capital OTB studios, this is Racing Across America with Seth Merrow.
We'd like to thank Gulfstream Park for their sponsorship of this program and some of the other programming and events here at Capital OTB. Gulfstream Park's championship meet features great racing now through Florida Derby weekend at the end of March. Good morning and welcome to Racing Across America on this Saturday morning. I'm Seth Merrow. Thanks for joining us. Nice racing day, actually, for early in December. Snowy up here in upstate New York, but we get to live vicariously a little bit later on. We'll take a look at a couple of stakes, early season stakes down in Tampa, where we will be joined by Ren Carothers in a little bit to take a look at the two Tampa stakes for this afternoon. As they say, we will live vicariously looking down in that direction. But there's also some nice racing in New York where the weather is not as nice. As they say, a little cool and snowy here in upstate New York as it has been in pretty much the northeast quadrant of the country over the past week or so. But really the last big day of racing for the year down in New York, highlighted obviously by the Cigar Mile. And as I tend to do when I'm home handicapping at night, I was watching the HHH Racing podcast and saw the guys were taking a look at New York. So I thought, who better to reach out to than our friend Howard Kravets, and we'll talk a little New York. Howard, good morning.
Good morning, Seth. How are you doing today?
Very good. Happy to have you on board. As I say, the HHH Racing podcast was taking a look at some New York action this week as part of the library of podcasts you have now. And as always, when I have you on, I'd like to let you tout the folks at the HHH Racing Podcast Juggernaut. Talk a little bit about that. And I saw in my email you have some subscription plans for the new year coming out. Just tout all of that for the folks.
Yeah, it's really exciting what's happening with our podcast. We're finishing our 5th year, which is hard to believe. We also just crossed the 1 million view mark nice. On YouTube a few months ago. So we're really excited. We're growing leaps and bounds every day with a great following. We have a lot of shows that covers a lot of different tracks throughout the country. And the best thing about it, Seth, is they're live shows, as you well know. So people can comment in the live chat, ask questions, more like a radio show, as opposed to just a taped video that we send out. We've got Pacific Horse Players on Tuesdays, which covers West Coast racing. We have our Betting and Boozing show on Wednesdays, which covers usually Midwest or East Coast or South Florida racing. And then our premiere show, of course, is on our flagship show, I should say. It's on Thursday with myself, Pete, and Paul, called Picks and Ponies. We also have some great sponsorship with Twin Spires that we just started, where we talk about a lot of contest play, First Racing sponsorship at Delphi Racing Club, New York sponsorship. So we're rocking and rolling, and this is a big day today in New York. A little melancholy, though. This is the last big Cigar Mile day, of course, and Remsen at good old Aqueduct.
Yeah, it will be the last Cigar Mile at Aqueduct. And again, it is a little bit melancholy, as you say. Aqueduct been a big part of the New York racing scene. Obviously, the 3-track rotation ever since I became a fan, but now it goes to 2 tracks starting about this time, fall of next year, with Belmont and Saratoga being the 2 main tracks. So the last hurrah for the Cigar Mile down at Aqueduct. So it has a special place this afternoon in that way. I mentioned subscriptions. I'll let you tout a little bit also the Power Picks. The no subscription to go over to YouTube and watch and listen to the podcast and get great information there. But the Power Picks, I take a look every week. You send me the picks and through email and get to go over a lot of great information. And I like to kind of look at where I am and where you guys are with the Power Picks. And so we have the website address up as well if people like more information. But again, talk a little bit about the Power Picks as well.
Yeah, we got a great website you can see on the screen, hhhracingpodcast.com. We have a lot of options with our Power Pick tip sheets. Actually, I just sent it out a few minutes ago, Seth. So if you're bored during the show, or I should say bored, but someone else is on the show and you got the slides, you can take a look at it in real time. You can go to our website and find out. They sign up through Patreon for our Saturday Power Pick tip sheets. So as you mentioned earlier, we have a very exciting program called Team HHH. It's over 90 tip sheets throughout the year, covering Saratoga, Del Mar, Breeders' Cup, Churchill Downs, and we're also going to do some free contests this year as well, with Seth. You're going to have a chance to win through Contest Jockey, which is a really cool in-house contest that we're going to be doing. So a lot of opportunities. Really highly recommend people look into our website and looking at Team HHH especially, because you can save a lot of money, and you can also get into some free contests as well.
And again, you can visit the website or go to YouTube and search on YouTube for the HHH Racing Podcast. Highly recommended. Very entertaining, as I say, weekly as I'm sitting at home at night, handicapping in front of the computer. I'll have that playing in the background, and always entertaining and useful information. You mentioned...
We appreciate that.
And I appreciate you guys being out there. It's, as I say, always entertaining. You mentioned contests, and you are a prolific contest player. I haven't talked to you since, but I'm curious if you have any BCBC stories. I know you, like a lot of people do, you were swinging, and it wasn't necessarily the weekend, but Dave Nichols, I don't know if you know Dave. Dave, a friend of mine, wound up sixth. I was here at the Racebook Breeders' Cup weekend out in the front half, as we normally are on big days, just kind of interacting and talking with the fans. We always get a big crowd out here at our flagship location in Albany. But I had on my computer the leaderboard. I was watching all weekend long because there was 5 or 6 or 7 people, yourself included, and Matt Miller, who I was kind of interested in and watching. But Dave wound up sixth, I believe, with about $85,000 in contest money, and then got a nice kick up with the prize pool to go over 6 figures walking away from the weekend. Bob Weir, Kim Weir is on our show from Therapeutic Horses of Saratoga in the summer, and right. Bob was in the contest, and Bob and Dave were both there. There was an event, I don't know, 3 weeks ago or so at the Museum of Racing. Kim was honored as the New York Chaplaincy Volunteer of the Year, and both Bob and Dave were there, and I was kind of picking their brains and got some info on how their weekend went. As I say, Dave's went very well, but any stories coming out of BCBC for you?
Well, I guess for me personally, it was, as I like to say, no bueno. Not a good year for me. I will say that probably the highlight of the entire weekend really is our entire group. We did not go to the Breeders' Cup this year. We just didn't want to travel out west for a third time. It's a hike or a schlep, so to speak, as some of us like to say. So we were at an undisclosed Airbnb in Florida, which was absolutely amazing. So I think that was sort of the highlight, just to be with our group in a nice, warm, sunny place. But in terms of Breeders' Cup Betting Challenge, I went all in pretty much on Amalok and turf. I thought Mini Hawk could get beat and Rebels Romance. I was right about that. This had the wrong European horse. A lot of things just didn't go my way. I will say, though, briefly, that Ethical Diamond, who won the turf at 22-1, whatever it was given out on our show in our international show preview for the Breeders' Cup by Davey Lane, who's an excellent handicapper that we have on our show and good friend from the UK. And we talked about Ethical Diamond quite a bit. I did not have enough guts to play him in the BCBC. I wish I did, because Forever Young and Fiercest were my top picks in the Classic. And, of course, Forever Young won. That would have been one hell of a double. But anyway, it didn't work out for me, Seth, this year. But we love the Breeders' Cup Betting Challenge. It's always a lot of fun.
I love your venue. It's Airbnb down in Florida. You can't beat that. I know a whole group of folks, again, friends of mine who I was watching on the leaderboard. They were all playing from Gulfstream. They were in the suite at Gulfstream enjoying awesome. The Breeders' Cup. And, they had a great time down there as well. So there are various options for people. And, again, it was fun to watch the leaderboard and see what people do during the weekend. And as I say, you're a contest player, NHC and BCBC. And we've talked about this before. Your preference is the BCBC, right? You like the bankroll as opposed to the imaginary win place of NHC.
I like the live money. I respect anyone who does well in the NHC and still trying to qualify for that. I've been very active in contest play in the last month. I was not very active early in the year, to be very honest. Busy with a lot of other things. But, I prefer the BCBC. Look, to me, it's very simple, Seth. I mean, when most people, when they go to the track, they're not betting $2 to win and place. right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not a question of how much money, it's the type of bet. And I like to play a lot of other bets. I like to play doubles, exactas, trifectas. I just think the BCBC is much more realistic in the way that you would bet on a daily basis. However, the money itself, of course, can get very pricey, and a lot of people just can't afford that price level. And I have complete respect for anyone that likes the $2 mythical. It's really the difference between a handicapping contest and a betting contest. I think it's really the best way to put it.
And talking to folks like you who have been to both events and are, as I say, prolific contest players, people still like the NHC because, again, the 2 years we were down there covering it, it's like the convention of horse players. It's great just to be there in Vegas and take your shot at the big prize pool, and that's fun as well. But I totally get the preference for the real money and playing along. So, again, there are all those options, and I tell people all the time, if you're not into contest play, jump in. There are plenty of opportunities online at the various tracks, and I think it makes you a better handicapper.
There's no doubt about it. I've been to the NHC every year. I've tried to qualify. I've been there for the last 3 years. I'm a little bit, new to the contest game compared to other people that have been playing contests for 20 years. I've only been involved about 4 or 5 years in contests. But I've been there the last 3 years. I'll try to be there this year. It's a lot of fun. Our group, we always have people qualifying. We get a table. And like you said, it is a convention. Boy, you see a variety of people in that room. It's really a lot of fun.
Yeah, no question about it. All right, let's jump in. Again, big day at Aqueduct, highlighted by the Cigar Mile. 4 graded stakes, and the 2 New York Stallion Series stakes are nice as well. But we'll take a look at the graded action. That kicks off race number 3. Oh, by the way, we're on early this morning because of the early post time at Aqueduct with a full card, getting dark early. So they're going to kick off at 11:20 today. So I expect the pregame show to kick off 10 o'clock or shortly thereafter. So we'll be wrapped up by then. But the third race this afternoon will be the Demoiselle Grade 2 event for the 2-year-old fillies going a mile and an eighth. I pulled up a replay here. We're going to take a look at Concurrently. That's the horse I find interesting for Chad Brown and Klarovich coming out of this maiden breaker that we're watching here. Third career start and just seemed to get better with each start, certainly number-wise. I think Zany is going to be very interesting for Todd Pletcher. Started the career last month down at Gulfstream with a big win and now comes up here in the second start. Shilling for Kenny McPeak off a couple of wins. Believable, another Pletcher runner. How did you see the Demoiselle?
The Demoiselle is interesting. It's only a 6-horse field, Seth, as you know. A lot of early speed in here, right? There's very few horses in this race that look like they can pass anybody. And that makes this race very tricky. Zany's going to be the big favorite, the Sparrow filly. I have an Uncle Mo mare, Mo Green. So the number 3, Zany for Apoli. You figure we should have handled the distance. I got to tell you, though, this horse is going to be, 4 to 5 sets? And she's going from 6.5 to a mile and 8. That is a big ask.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of other speed in here. So while Zany's the horse to beat and will probably win, I don't know. I think there's some other horses that people should really be looking at here, based especially on the value. I'm going to go with Shilling, the number 2 for McPeak. It's not a strong pick, Seth, I must admit, because she looks like she wants to lead also. But a few things quickly. She's going to have an inside post, right? And it's a short run to that first turn, going a mile and 8 at the big A. So you figure if she breaks well, Chris Raleigh will have her on the lead. And when you have a race with a lot of horses that can't pass others, don't you really want someone on the lead, even if there is other speed? I know I do. McPeak is great stretching out. This is a global campaign. The sire is by Curlin. So you figure the distance is going to be a problem. And she already beat Believable, the number 6, who beat concurrently early in the year, the 4. So there's a little transitive property going on there. I'm a math teacher. If you know math, you know what I'm talking about. I'm going to go 2, 3, 4. I wanted to pick concurrently on top. But you know what? I watched the last race really carefully for Chad, with Chad training and Flavian Pratt riding. Concurrently sort of hung to me a little bit. I don't know if Concurrently wants distance. Chad said she does. Of course, he knows better than I do, but just visually, I don't know about Concurrently. So it's a tricky race. I suppose even the rail horse jumping the gun from Delaware a gun runner. If she can step up, I don't think she's impossible. I think literally anyone on the side can win this race.
Yeah, it's 21st century late season 2-year-old stakes races where, yeah, you have a horse coming in off a maiden breaker. They're all lightly raced, though, and have all shown plenty of ability. So I agree. At this point, they're still waiting to define themselves, and you can point to pretty much anybody in here. Fun edition of the Demoiselle. Fifth race this afternoon, the Elite Power Grade 3 event. 3-year-olds and up going 6 furlongs. I kind of went master of the obvious in here with El Grande O. Linda Rice, runner coming off a win last time. Flavien Prat sticks on board. Acoustic Avenue, nice little New York bred, also from Linda Rice. And as a New York bred, just has been very, very proficient throughout the career. Well over $600,000 in the bank. And again, one of those New York breds you have. You can pick your spots, New York bred stakes, or step out into open company like this. St. Jude coming in from out of town, I thought was maybe a little bit interesting. Just beat the odds for Greg Sacco. What did you see in the Elite Power?
Yeah, I'm not getting cuter either. I agree. I think El Grande O is a sprinter. Linda said that he's a sprinter. Flavien got to ride him last time. He's had the rail the last 2 times, but getting the rail again should not be a problem. Not creative here. There's not a ton of early speed. So I think Flavien's going to use El Grande O a little bit and, won't be too far back. Similar to his trip last time against Acoustic Avenue, where I thought Acoustic Avenue had every chance to beat him, and El Grande O got up. So I'm going to go El Grande O here. I agree. I think you got to take a look at Just Beat the Odds. If he's ready, the number 4 for Sacco, he's the main speed threat to me. If Franco's aggressive and Just Beat the Odds is ready, and he's won off the layoff before, I think it's pretty dangerous on the lead because I just do not see a lot of other speed in this race at all. But I think the class of El Grande O is going to show. So I'm going to go 1, 4, 5 in this race. I respect Acoustic Avenue. I just think some of the others are just a little bit better.
And Flavien Prat on board. And I will ask you as a fellow horse player, whether you folks in the Airbnb down in Florida were tuned in on the Sunday after the Breeders' Cup. Flavien Prat, just as a fan, I was in here doing the handicapping show. And he comes back, takes the red eye back to New York after the Breeders' Cup. Supposedly got into 3 a.m., caught a few hours of sleep, then comes over to Aqueduct and wins 7 races. That was just phenomenal.
Yeah, it's just amazing. A lot of us were traveling Sunday, of course, back to our homes. But I heard about it. And Flavien is just, these guys are so dedicated, other than, of course, the incident last Sunday, which we don't need to get into, but in New York. But these guys are just incredible athletes, and their dedication overall is just fantastic.
Yeah, I think my take on last Sunday was if everybody could have a do-over, they would happily do it. In reflection, it was just a mistake by they have various parties. All right, 9th race today. The Remsen Grade 2 event for the 2-year-olds going 9 furlongs. I pulled up a replay of Paladin, who wound up second but was elevated with a DQ. Renegade is going to be the winner, and that one winds up second. They're both in here today. I put Paladin on top. Now, we're watching the stretch run. Really hard to tell from the pan shot and the stretch run. You'll see, I think we have the head on as well. You will see they come together. But if you're relying on this as like, oh, boy, you got fouled, and so it'll do better. This is not much. They kind of come together. There's not much there, though. But I still thought it's Chad Brown. It's the second time out off again, this was a decent effort in here. I put Renegade right underneath. Why not if I like Paladin? And then Courting is going to be very interesting off the win last time in the second career start. A horse they paid $5 million for. I'm really intrigued to see what he can do in this stakes debut and third start of the career. But what did you see in the Remsen?
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack there. Let me say this first off because I don't want people to believe that I am biased, although I am a little biased for the following reason. As you know, I made a major play on Sierra Leone 2 years ago in the Future Derby bets, and everyone on the podcast had a piece. We had Sierra Leone at 150 to 1. I was personally alive to $53,000 to Sierra Leone. We all know what happened in the Derby, past history. Okay. The year before that, by the way, I tipped out or made a bet on Tapit Tripe in November. So I like to make future Derby bet stuff, and I like to do it early because that's when you get your prices. Well, my friend, let me announce, and I talked about this Thursday, my future Derby bet for 2026 is Paladin. Paladin, to me, is exactly the kind of horse I like to play. And I got him at 40 to 1, which frankly is a little bit low. I was hoping for 60 or 70. But right now, Seth, where I got him at Caesars in Vegas, he's 18 to 1 already down in Caesars for the Derby, which is completely insane. In fact, 40 to 1 is sort of low anyway. But Paladin, I agree. This is a long-winded gun runner. Chad, same connection to Sierra Leone, a lot of similar profile, but Sierra Leone ran a 68 buyer in his first start. This horse, Paladin, ran an 87 set. He's already much faster. He's much more progressive. I hope Flavian sits a little bit in this race today because he's got the inside speed, but he doesn't have to be on the lead, obviously. I like him to sit off it. I don't want him on the lead. I think there's a lot of speed on the outside. So I love what he did in his first start. I thought he was better than Renegade. I know some people thought Renegade got a tougher trip. I don't quite understand that stuff. Renegade was on the inside facing Brown the whole time and waiting and waiting. Meanwhile, Paladin was battling 2-3 wide into a faster pace and actually galloped out much further ahead. So I like Paladin today. I'm not going to like the price. He's going to be, 9 to 5, Seth? He's going to be low.
Yeah.
I don't like that. Renegade is my second choice at 9. My concerns, if you look at the work tab stuff, he had a little bit of a foot issue and he missed a few weeks. Todd did work him back slowly, maintenance work last weekend. I'm sure Todd wouldn't run him if he didn't think he was ready, but I don't like that. I don't like when a horse misses work, especially going to a big race. So I'm a little bit dubious. And Courting, who you mentioned, the number 6, is my third choice, and that's my backup Derby future bet stuff. So I smelled this out, this Remsen. I could see that they were going to be pointing here. $5 million full to Clairiere. I think he's a little more immature than the other ones we mentioned, but he will absolutely, he will absolutely love the mile and 1/8. I think he's a little bit slower than the others right now, but he could step up and win. So I'm going 296 and a very, very fascinating message.
That's just as I have it too, but I'm really intrigued with Courting. And I will say, you may think 40 to 1 is a little light, but if he wins today, it's going to look pretty good because he will obviously.
What is he going to be? What is he going to be? He finished I think he was 22 to 1 in Pool 2 of the Derby. Let's just talk about of course the Pool 3 is not going to be till January. If he wins this race, if Paladin wins this race, is he not second choice to Ted Naufy in the future Derby pool already? I would say he would.
Yeah, with the connections, he's going to certainly take plenty of action if he gets a win today. And finally, the aforementioned last running of the Cigar Mile at Aqueduct. And again, go down and pull up the list of winners on the internet, and it's been first of all, it was the Naira Mile for a long time, and Cigar got the name on it with a nice victory that started his big win streak, if I'm not mistaken, but it was part of it certainly. Yeah, so Cigar Mile today. I will readily admit, I don't think this is one of the best editions of it, but I wound up, I think the top two are, to me, the ones to get. When we talked earlier, you said you had maybe an interesting opinion in here, so now I'm intrigued. I landed on Bishop's Bay back in May, won at a mile here at Aqueduct in the Westchester. He's coming off a win in the 49er here at a mile. Flavian Prat sticks on board. Phileas Fogg, the nice win at Saratoga in the Suburban early this summer is intriguing, and a triple-digit buyer on the resume there. So those two look interesting to me. Crazy Mason with the win in the Carter over the track in April, intriguing. Doc Sullivan, we're taking a look here at Bishop's Bay, winning in the 49er back the beginning of November. So again, I wound up there, Bishop's Bay. A good performance. We'll send that one to the Saudi Cup, according to Brad Cox. But what were your thoughts on the Cigar?
This is one of my stronger opinions of the day, Seth, and I'm either going to be very right or very wrong. So people that are listening, you can make your own decisions. I know a lot of people like Bishop's Bay, the number 7, who we just saw across the wire. I mean, he was beating Nelson Avenue in Scotland, and Scotland's not very good right now. I don't know, Seth. I know KS Staples bought him for $1.8 million, I think, and they're planning going to Saudi. I don't think he's as good as he used to be. I think he was much better when he was a 3-year-old, and earlier this year. His last 2 Flyers, they're 85 and 92.
Yeah, that's fair.
He's going to have to chase Phileas Fogg. Isn't Phileas Fogg a much better animal? I think he is. He's been facing complete monsters most of the year. He's got to carry 125. A lot of people aren't talking about the weight in this race. I think they should. I'm not a big weight guy, but there's a 7-8 pound weight difference between the 6 and 7 and some others in here. I'm against Bishop's Bay on the win end. I could be wrong. We'll see. I also don't like Crazy Mason on the win end either. I think he's a very nice closing sprinter, but just because they're going longer, as you well know, does not mean a closer will do better. And I just don't think that extra furlong is going to help him either. I think Phileas Fogg is by far the horse to beat here, Seth, by far. He's been working with blinkers on. It's Rosario. I think Phileas Fogg is clearly the horse to beat. The horse of the day for me that I really like a lot, that I think is fascinating, is number 3, Pentathlon at 10-1 for Shug and Junior. I'll be brief because I know you got other people to get on the show. Pentathlon took the blinkers off last time, was a completely different animal. I bet him at Saratoga in the slot when he won an 11-1 over the summer. He's been a little bit of an in and outer, and he's definitely a little slower than the others, but not a lot slower. And last time with the blinkers off, Seth, he rated kindly. He absolutely blew by a good field with a 92 fire. He's been working very well locally for Shug, and I just don't think the Phipps stable would put him in this race if they don't think he belongs. I love Junior, and he's going to sit a great trip. There's like 4 or 5 things I really like about Pentathlon today. I'm going to use them everywhere. Pick 5s underneath an exotic. I'm going to go 6, 3, 4. I'm just going to fade Bishop's Bay, but I could be very wrong.
All right. Very interesting. I like it. Taking a little swing there. And that is a good pickup with the blinkers off last time. He did move forward nicely. So, very intriguing. Again, big day down in New York. We covered the graded stakes, but the 2 Stallion Series stakes are very fun as well. So worth taking a look at the New York card this afternoon, and worth taking a look also again at the HHH Racing Podcast, their library of podcasts. You can go over, find it on YouTube. Also, stop by the website and get more information. Power Picks are worth checking out as well. Howard, appreciate the visit as always, and we'll talk again.
Thanks a lot, Seth. Good luck to everyone at the Big A today. Crush your bet.
I appreciate it. Howard Kravets, again, from the HHH Racing Podcast. We will take a quick break. When we come back, we'll shift our attention to the west coast of Florida. Ren Carothers will join us. We'll take a look at a couple of early season stakes down at Tampa. Stay tuned.
Want to get your career in horse racing off to a fast start? Well, the University of Arizona's Racetrack Industry Program is your winning ticket. The Racetrack Industry Program has served as a springboard to some of the industry's most successful individuals, with a proven track record of job placement right out of college. If you want to earn a degree in the exciting horse racing industry, the Racetrack Industry Program can put you in the winner's circle.
The championship season is on at Gulfstream Park with great horse racing action Thursday through Sunday. Come out and enjoy the world's best horses, trainers, and jockeys as they compete over the Hallandale Beach Oval all season long. Take your experience up a notch and join us in 10 Palms Restaurant with unbeatable track views, outstanding dining, and convenient wagering options. For reservations, event schedules, tickets, and more, head to GulfstreamPark.com.
Sometimes it pays to go with the flow, to check your worries at the door, to reconnect with your crew, to follow the thrills and the flavor, to roll with it and see where it takes you, to enjoy every minute to its fullest, and to dance like there's no tomorrow. You can do that here at Rivers Casino and Resort Schenectady, where the good times flow.
Welcome back to Racing Across America. Yes, it is that time of year. Tampa back in the. I got to get back there. It's been too long since I've been at Tampa. One of my favorite tracks during the winter. Tampa and Oakland. Really two of my favorite tracks all year long, but in the winter, I like both of them. I think you can find a lot of value. They're fun to play. And as I say, we can live vicariously looking at the nice weather down in Florida during the winter time. But they have a couple of early season stakes this afternoon, some other nice races on the card. So who better to reach out to than the pre-race commentator for Tampa, our friend Ren Carothers. Ren, good morning.
Good morning, ESF.
And, normally it would be, hey, we've gotten a chance to see you now that Tampa has started. It's fun to see you. But we got to see you a little more going back, a month and a half or so ago. You were making some appearances down in the paddock at Churchill this fall as well. And the crew, I love the crew down there. Our friend Tony Kalo and Joe Christofek and the whole gang down there. But it was fun to see you in the paddock a number of days.
Thank you. No, they are so great. It's always an honor to work with them. And I mean, as somebody who grew up in the sport, even having done media and different jobs within horse racing over the years, I still revert back to that little girl with those twin spires behind me, pinching myself like, oh my gosh, I'm talking about racing at Churchill Downs, holding a mic flag saying Churchill Downs.
I totally get it. And like I said, it was fun to see you down there. It was also fun to see you. ABR was in Saratoga I saw you in Saratoga this summer as usual.
Yeah.
But ABR covered the Fasig-Tipton sale. You guys were live there, but then saw you just a few weeks ago, right after the Breeders' Cup, Night of Stars at Fasig-Tipton. And that had, for a pedigree person like you, a night like that, it's always kind of fireworks. And, there was certainly fireworks again this year, Night of Stars, but it was a nice job you guys did with the ABR live coverage of that event.
Oh, thank you so much. No, I mean, I was like a kid in a candy store. I couldn't buy any of those. Those sweets, of course, but yeah, living vicariously while on set, getting to talk to all the connections we've had. It's been an absolute blast working with Fasig-Tipton on this, and ABR, of course. I mean, they're like family.
Yeah, I think, as I say, it was a big event down there with what She's So Spicy and Puka in there, the Damn It Ted Noffy. So as I say, there was some nice fireworks as there are every year. That sale and the Keeneland sale right after the Breeders' Cup with some Breeders' Cup performance. And you had Jose D'Angelo on. I said that weekend I started saying there's a guy who was on the up and come kind of, but certainly has broken through now with a couple of back-to-back wins on Breeders' Cup weekend.
And I got a She's So Spicy hat.
Yeah.
The team was so cool, they brought us hats back to set.
There you go. See, you get the bonus. I like that.
That's right.
Occasionally I'll get the bonus at Saratoga too. I get some hats over there as well.
Nice.
So there's always a bonus to being a host. All right, let's jump in and take a look at some Tampa action this afternoon. We'll take a look at a couple of stakes, and then there are also a couple of maiden events that you have some thoughts on, being a pedigree person. But let's start with the two stakes.
Yeah.
Second race today is the inaugural, $125,000 for the 2-year-olds sprinting 6 furlongs. I pulled up a replay of Solitude Dude, a Safi Joseph runner that won the career debut over at Gulfstream. And just kind of master of the obvious. I think off of this event and the nice buyer figure.
Yeah, you just have to accept it here, I think.
Yeah, Solitude Dude is going to take a lot of action, particularly with that bullet work coming in. But Thunder Chuck is interesting, maybe Super Kick.
Yeah, that's
also. But what are your thoughts?
Well, no, I see it the same way as you do. And I do want to say, like, honestly, it's an honor to be part of the Tampa Bay Downs team as well. Love them so much. It's amazing. We're in our 100th season. Obviously, I haven't been there for the whole 100 years, but it's certainly a thrill to be part of this. And as far as the inaugural stakes does go, Solitude Dude, I mean, he looks legit for a couple of reasons. You already went over that impressive debut win. He scored comfortably by 9.5 lengths, how he's working into this. But what I also find really interesting with him is I had gotten super excited about a horse who was going to be debuting at Churchill Downs. The PPs had come out almost a week beforehand, and I was so excited about this horse, I reached out to one of the connections, Hunter Rankin of the Flying Dutchman. And it was due to the pedigree, as I said, and the horse ended up winning. Awesome. I love it when a plan comes together, right? This horse is from the same page. So it's a branch of 1X that is very live. And not only that, I mean, he's by a sire who looks like he's going to hit, and that's Yapon, who's representing the Uncle Mo line. But yeah, this branch from 1X, his mom after the party, it is that of Grade 1 winners Callback, Super Saver, Girolamo, and going back to the 2-year-old that just debuted and won, a Mob. So I think it's a very live pedigree. As far as Thunder Chuck, yeah, I think he'd be second choice here. You know, he nearly won his debut back in June. He did it in start 2, had that bad outing from the gate in the Saratoga Special, and went to the bench after that. And then he was first-time blinkers, ran a good second there in the juvenile sprint at Gulfstream. It was a short 4-horse field, I know, but I thought it was a solid return to the races, and he could improve here and start 2 off the bench. He's actually a full brother to Dancing Magic, who was third in our Sandpiper Stakes last year, and then went on to win the Gasparilla by 2.
Oh, nice. Yeah, it's again, Solitude Dude is going to take a lot of action, and deservedly so. But the horses behind are a little bit interesting, and again, they're all lightly raced. Yeah. They can certainly move forward. You know, you mentioned, excuse me, Tampa's 100th season. When I heard that, I was amazed. I did not realize Tampa was 100 years old. But as I say, one of my favorite tracks, and if folks haven't been down there, I highly recommend it. It's winter. You can be wearing a short sleeve shirt in January and enjoy a day at the races. But also the facility is just perfectly sized. So you go there on any day, and there's a nice buzz in the building. I again, highly recommend it.
It always feels like an intimate experience. You know, you don't ever feel far removed from the action there.
No, absolutely. And I don't know that I've told you this story before. I'm sure I've told it on the air, but I was there. I want to say Tampa Bay Derby Day. This was going back a while, but I was downstairs, bottom floor of the grandstand, standing watching a TV with, again, Tampa Bay Derby Day, a whole bunch of other people there. And I looked down and realized in front of me, Davy Jones from the Monkees was also watching.
Oh, my God. Hey.
Yeah, and if folks don't know, I think originally, before the Monkees days, I think he was a jockey, but I think for a long while he had a farm in Ocala, if I'm not mistaken. So,
wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, crazy, yeah. And so
there
was my brush with fame at Tampa. But moving on to the 9th at Tampa, the Sandpiper. This one for 2-year-old fillies going 6. Pulled up a replay of Summer Winner winning up at Canterbury. I'm going to take a little swing with this one. Coming in from Canterbury, and this is a Minnesota bred, so, some of the races were restricted, but this last win was against Open Company at Canterbury. So I'm tilting slightly in that direction. Sneaky good for Brad Cox, obviously going to take plenty of action, deservedly so. My Missy Mo, or my Miss Mo for Rich Averill, I think will be a player for Safi. Gerard's Cross, 2 for 2 for Kathleen O'Connell. I think it's a fun race. How did you see the Sandpiper?
I do, but I am boring here too. But I will say I've gotten burned not respecting the Canterbury form before. So yeah, I mean, obviously you should. But I visually wanted to see what these fillies look like, because for obviously 2-year-olds, you want to see at what point in maturity they are. Some of them still look a little like they're going through their growth spurt. Some look more like they're, pretty well mature into their frame, at least for, what they'll be asked to do here. And Sneaky Good and My Miss Mo, they just look so visually nice. And Sneaky Good in particular, obviously post 10's not great, but I don't think it's that big a deal. She got that lead in that debut there. It was a 6-furlong main special weight at Keeneland, and she got hounded for much of the way by another filly. She didn't let it bother her. I like seeing that. And then in stretch, she put her away. She did have to be reminded for a couple steps to stay to task by Irad, and she did. And she drew off to a 4 3/4 length score there. The final time was 1:11:54. Now, why is this notable? Is that the previous dirt race on the same card was another 6-furlong main special weight for fillies, because they had so many entries they had to split it. And the winner there went in 1:11:36. Who was that winner? It was Bella Ballerina, the half-sister to Oaks Winner Pretty Mischievous. And Bella Ballerina, as we all know, she exited that race to score the Grade 2 Goldenrod. So they're not that far apart. I know it's hard to compare times, or, comparing tracks, or now on a different track. But still, the fact that they were that close, I think is pretty notable. And then obviously, you know, I don't have to tell you, but this is a daughter of Into Mischief. She's out of a stakes-winning daughter of Tonalist named Gales. The second dam was also a stakes winner. You look at this filly, she's very much stamped by Into Mischief as well, which, you know, that's part of the reason he's been so successful is because he's so prepotent. So I just think she looks great. My Miss Mo, she's another pretty big, you know, beautiful filly. Sappy Joseph, as you mentioned, she just missed scoring on debut by nose, and that was after a slow start, but she showed willingness to duel. And then in start 2, you know, I like that she rated before taking over at the half, and she drew away to a 12-length score there. Now, those were Florida-bred maiden special weights, but the times were legit, whatever the competition was behind her. And daughter of Uncle Mo, out of a quality road mare, whose half-brother Harper's First Ride won the Grade 3 Pimlico Special. So very nice pedigree there. And then I'm kind of interested in the 9 as well, but we'll save that for the simulcast.
All right. So now that's something to get us tuned in. But again, 2 nice late season 2-year-old stakes, highlighting the card. Again, early season stakes down in Tampa. But as I mentioned, there's a couple of maiden races on the card as well that you said you maybe had some thoughts on. 6th race today, maidens on the grass going a mile. What did you see in race number 6?
I just love the pedigree of the number 3 so much. Now, part of that's obvious. You can look at it there, and even if you have a general understanding of pedigree, you get it. The 3, Thankfulness, she's one of 2 entered by Miguel Clement. And again, I probably don't need to tell you, daughter of Maymoss, okay? And then out of a daughter of Galileo. And that mare's name is Brief Moment. Brief Moment is a 3/4 sister to Champion Harzand. And the family has also produced other champions like Big Rock and Emily Upjohn. So it is like a supremely rich pedigree. And he obviously knows where to spot his horses. He's been doing quite well since taking over the reins there. I just love that pedigree so much. And as far as horses, maybe you want to look at slightly underneath. I mean, the one Duchessa for Arnaud Delacour, I know she wasn't great on debut, but she has excuses right there out of the gate. She got herded and taken sideways out of there. I do wonder if we would have seen some speed from her otherwise. She's a daughter of Caravaggio, multiple Group 1 winning sprinter, and then she's out of a mare named Princess Gibraltar, who did her best running at a mile and grass, which makes sense because she's a daughter of Rocket Gibraltar, who the racing fans out there might remember. He was on that 7 Group 1 win streak before he had that terrible start in the Breeders' Cup Mile and had to close from well out of it. And he ended up just coming up 3/4 of a length short. So I think that's a horse that's pretty interesting in there if you don't feel comfortable, for example, singling a first-time starter. But I think that's a really interesting angle for that filly, and that she should hopefully be better here second time out for Arnaud Delacour, who does quite well with those horses have experience. And then race 7, another first-time starters caught my eye, and that's the number 5 Lightscape for Proctor by Practical Joke, whose baby seemed to run really well at Tampa. Of course, Domestic Product won our Tampa Bay Derby, and then we had another one of his progeny win here yesterday. And then this filly's out of Lucky Find by Uncle Mo. Her half-brother, the mare, as Conquest Warrior, was 4th in the Florida Derby. And the mom's also 3/4 sister to Brodeur, who was stakes place. But more to the point, this family is the family of Arch, Acoma, Althea, Cafefe. It's a very, very nice pedigree.
Very good. Yeah, and Duchessa, I will note also the house horse being owned in part by Stella Thayer.
Yeah.
So they have a little advantage. No, there's no advantage.
No. Everything, yeah. Everything
it is always legit. Notable when it's always fun to see when even in NYRA, that NYRA board of directors or whatever has a horse in. It's kind of fun to see what they can do with their home track, as it were.
Well, but beyond that, I mean, just to show that you have skin in the game. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
It's not just you're running the operation. Like, you actually care. You understand what ownership is like. What the ups and the downs, and this relationship they've had with Arnaud Delacour over the years. Also, it's really great to see that this isn't just a company. These are people who truly are invested in the horses.
Yeah, and that's a great point. Because when you talk to just owners, you realize what they go through day to day, trying to keep their horses sound, and then getting a race in the condition book for the horse. My horse is ready, and so that the people behind the scenes, behind the racetrack, know that and learn that and are part of that. Yep. I totally agree. I think that can only help the game. Ren, as always, appreciate the conversation as they're underway now at Tampa. I knew we'd get you plugged in sooner rather than later, but we will certainly talk as the season goes along throughout the course of stakes action down on the west coast of Florida. But we'll be watching today as well your pre-race commentary, and we appreciate the visit this morning.
Well, we appreciate you, Seth. All the best.
Appreciate it. Ren Carothers, Tampa Bay Downs. Again, a couple of nice early season stakes on the card today. So check that out on kind of a fun stakes day across the country on a early December Saturday. All right, we'll take another break. When we come back, we'll hit some news and notes. And as I say, the NYRA pregame will kick off sooner rather than later, but we'll be wrapped up before that. But stay tuned. We'll come back and put an official wrap on it right after this.
The 2025 Global Symposium on Racing. It's the premier networking event of the year. Connect with the who's who of racing. Collaborate face-to-face with key decision makers. Be a part of the international conversation. Discover the latest technology and innovation. Join us December 8th through 10th. Register at racingsymposium.com.
Capital OTB is now streaming live on Roku. The RTN Racing channel on Roku lets you watch OTB TV live through your Roku device or your Amazon Fire Stick, rather than being limited to computers and mobile devices, which means you can now watch OTB live wherever you are. Simply open Roku, scroll to find the RTN channel, then click on OTB TV. OTB TV on Roku. Try it now.
The championship season is on at Gulfstream Park. Great horse racing action Thursday through Sunday. Come out and enjoy the world's best horses, trainers, and jockeys as they compete over the Hallandale Beach Oval all season long. Take your experience up a notch and join us in 10 Palms Restaurant with unbeatable track views, outstanding dining, and convenient wagering options. For reservations, event schedules, tickets, and more, head to GulfstreamPark.com.
Welcome back. Let me just hit you with the promo today. If you are a patron at Sportsman's Bowl, there's a Fan Appreciation Day today. So Fan Appreciation Day is always a lot of fun. Food, vouchers, contest. You can win a little extra money. The contests are always a lot of fun. So, again, if you're a patron at Sportsman's Bowl, swing by today, this afternoon, and let us say thank you to you with a Fan Appreciation Day. Again, Schenectady, they have a great crew down there. I've been down for some Fan Appreciation Days there. It's always a lot of fun. There's also the Winnipeg Challenge. That team was selected early. It wasn't selected. Everybody who entered is eligible, but you had to enter earlier this week. So you should have gotten all your information and have it submitted before 11 a.m., I think is the cutoff. And we wish everybody good luck, the online Winnipeg for this afternoon. Again, some news and notes. Again, we kind of hit on it a little bit earlier. Last week, Sunday, racing was canceled after the first race in New York as the jockeys were protesting, and there were various issues. And as I said earlier, on reflection, I think everybody involved probably would like a do-over on that one. It just, there were maybe some things to be addressed. This was probably not the best way to do it. There was a meeting on Monday where it seems like they kind of more or less came to a meeting of the minds on some of the issues. But again, it was just unfortunate the way it played out last Sunday. But that said, with that Sunday cancellation after the first race, there's been a day added, December 10th, this coming Wednesday will be added to the calendar. They will race down in New York from December 10th to December 14th. And then they'll be off until the 26th. There's a holiday break of a couple of weeks in there. But do note, Wednesday, December 10th, this coming Wednesday, has been added in New York. Also, news, HISA came out with some metrics for the third quarter, and it looks like good numbers as far as horse fatalities at various tracks. Continues to track lower since HISA has been kind of monitoring and doing their work. So some good news there. Fairgrounds canceled yesterday, and if you're a Fairgrounds player and you were wondering where Fairgrounds was, they canceled. It was not their fault. It was not anything to do with them necessarily. There was, as I understand it, there was a water main break in the street right outside the main gate, and just the situation, they couldn't race because of that. So it wasn't really a Fairgrounds thing. It was a city thing, but it was right outside the gate, and so Fairgrounds had to cancel yesterday because of that. Oaklawn will open up a week from yesterday, so next Friday, Oaklawn kicks off. And again, they are one of the bright spots on the American racing scene now. They'll have a record 32 stakes worth $18.3 million. That's a fun track, too. I've only made one visit to Oaklawn, but I highly recommend it. It's a very similar situation to Saratoga in that the town is totally into it. They get a good crowd there every day. On the weekends, a very good crowd. It's fan-friendly. So, again, if you get a chance, I would recommend a live visit. But otherwise, again, it's one of my favorite tracks. I think there's some nice value there during the meet. This year, there will be 2 meets, and it's kind of interesting. Probably a good idea. They extended the meet a few years back, and it used to start in January. And even then, the weather situation, and it's funny, there's essentially within a national park or a state park, the borders in some fashion, which restricts them from what kind of, chemicals they can put on the track to take care of freezing weather. So you get the January days, the track can take the brunt of a very cold overnight, and it'll cut into training hours and affect things that way. So this year they've tried to mitigate that a little bit. They, as I say, they had expanded the meet into December, but that then included the entirety of January essentially. This year they've changed it up a little bit. There'll be 2 meets starting next Friday and going to January 4th, and then they take off until January 30th and go to May 2nd. So they're essentially sitting on the sidelines the vast majority of January, which again, weather-wise, is probably a very, very good idea. Some other news and notes from the past few days. Irod Ortiz. This is kind of interesting. Irod Ortiz, and Mike Welch article in the Racing Forum, and there was also an article in Blood Horse that say Irod Ortiz yesterday, having won 4 of 5 on his first day of riding at Gulfstream. He'll be back in New York today. But he set a single season record of over $39 million. And I will say the disparity I'm talking about is actually with the Rajiv Marat article. This Equibase agrees with this. A single season total of $39,200,000. And again, this was actually a Dave Grenig article. And I'm just looking down. Pitch battle for the Eclipse honor this year with Flavien Prat. That both great, having great seasons. And I pulled up the Equibase stats for Irod Ortiz, and breaks the mark. But it's notable, he over 39 million with most of December left. Now the racing, big day in Aqueduct today, but the stakes action is a little maybe not quite as prolific during December. So to get another 800,000 in earnings, can he do it? Well, that'll be interesting, because then he would be he's the first jockey to get to 39.2. So he'd be the first jockey in a year to go over $40 million in earnings. He's approaching 400 million with a total career stats of 377 million. But also, you pull up his stats and achievements on Equibase. He's been the Eclipse Award-winning jockey 5 times, 2018, 19, 20, 22, and 23. And again, he's right in the thick of things again this year as well. So Irad Ortiz goes over the record annual earnings for a jockey, again, with the better part of a month left. This was what I was referring to with, as I say, Mike Welch and the Blood Horse both had that, and a little bit of a discrepancy with Equibase. It's kind of interesting. But Rajiv Murrah yesterday won the 3rd race at Gulfstream for his 2,000th lifetime victory. And if you know, Rajiv, great guy, lots of energy. We've had him on in the past up at Saratoga. Fun to talk to. Started his career in 2004. He stepped away from riding in 2020, and I knew he did that to kind of get some businesses underway. Explains it a little more in the Grennig article. He started a company called Road Jockey, which is a food delivery service in Jamaica. But he came back to riding late last year, 2024, with the goal of reaching the 2,000 win mark, and he did it yesterday. He's quoted as saying, "I've come a real long way. I've come from humble beginnings, and to be able to achieve this milestone is pretty incredible." But I know, as I said, the Welch article says 2,000 career victories. The Blood Horse had a headline as well. But I pulled up the career page from Equibase. They say 1999. So don't stop yet, Rajiv. Get a few more victories and make sure. Because I'm not sure who's correct here. I'm kind of trusting, however, Mike Welch, and as I say, the Blood Horse also had the article. But I would think Rajiv will probably keep riding because he's had a pretty good year this year. So far this year, 487 mounts, 58 victories, 73 seconds, 73rd. So pretty good 2025. So I expect he'll keep. He will continue for a while more and add a few to that 2,000 win mark. But again, congratulations to Rajiv Murrah on a milestone. All right, I'm going to step away. It looks like they are hitting on the scratches and changes in New York. So we'll get you there and to the pregame show again with the big card down there, Cigar Mile, and a number of other stakes. They're kicking things off in New York at 11:20. So we'll be back in an hour or so, maybe a little more than that for OTB Live, looking at some New York. I also have some Gulfstream in the mix, but we'll have plenty more action as well this afternoon right here on the network. But we appreciate your tuning in this morning. Seth Merrow, Racing Across America. Hopefully we gave you some good ideas for this afternoon to make some bets and cash some money. We'll be talking more about it live throughout the afternoon on OTB Live. So we'll see you then. We'd like to thank Gulfstream Park for their sponsorship of this program and some of the other programming and events here at Capital OTB. Gulfstream Park's championship meet features great racing now through Florida Derby weekend at the end of March.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off-Track Betting.
And 16 in today's 11th race. The track is fast, 11